There is something very personal about the educational journey. It's something that I recognize because I lived it, and the families that we support live it every single day. That's the beauty of what we built with both EdTechquity and Inspirame, that they trust us enough to be able to share vulnerable aspects of their journey for us to say, we got to come together and we got to do something, because we as a society miss out. We miss out in people's ability to contribute, their innovation, their thoughts, their experiences, because simply these small things that get in the way of bigger opportunities for them.
Hi, I'm Jeff Holden. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion is to highlight a nonprofit organization in each weekly episode, giving that organization an opportunity to tell their story in their words to better inform and educate the respective communities they serve, as well as provide one more tool for them to share their message to constituents and donors. Our goal is to help build stronger communities through shared voices and to both encourage and support the growth of local nonprofit organizations through podcasting. Thanks to our founding partners for their foresight in helping us transform the way conversations start. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. Runyon Saltzman Incorporated, RSE, marketing, advertising, and public relations creating integrated communications committed to improving lives. And Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. Many of us with grown children have been there, even those listening who may be there now. Our children are planning their college curriculum and trying to get the right classes in the right order at the right time. Oh boy, that can be frustrating. Maybe take time to look at a different school, a different community college, a different state university. Getting that course load right is critical, as it's the path of necessity, and getting it right means saving money not wasted on placeholder classes. In this episode, I'm speaking with Maria Medrano on her remarkable journey from humble beginnings to founding Inspirame, a tech company committed to guiding students from community college to university success. You'll discover how their tools are revolutionizing academic support, making it easier for students to navigate their educational paths. We also discuss the pivotal role of EdTechquity in providing resources to underserved schools and the innovative introduction of micro-scholarships to help students overcome financial barriers. This is a for-profit, nonprofit creative alignment that is quite impressive. We'll highlight the essential contributions of community colleges, the incredible power of educational technology, and the inspiring stories of students who have turned their challenges into triumphs. Whether you're an educator, a student, or a tech enthusiast, this episode is packed with insights on harnessing technology to empower student success and foster a more equitable educational landscape. Maria Medrano, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
And what a conversation we're going to have. Education has always been significant and important to me in my life, and it's where we've centered a lot of our contributions, donations, board time in educational aspects, because it's the easiest way to break cycles of poverty. And that's very similar to your situation, only in a much more dramatic way. Would you explain what it was that got you started in a platform that really is education-driven?
Absolutely. And you put it right on the money in regards to education really being that catalyst that can really change not just an individual, but I like to say generational poverty. And that was the case for me. You know, I come from very humble beginnings. My mom was a teenage mom, had me at the age of 16. She became an orphan at the age of 3. And so the earliest thoughts and conversations that I've ever had with my mom was the importance of education, because she understood the importance of it. She herself didn't have the opportunity to do the educational piece, but she knew that I would have the opportunity. In addition to that, my dad, who I love dearly as well, always talked to me about the importance of education. He grew up in Mexico, and as in many Mexican families in Mexico, he went up to 3rd grade, although he had the love for reading. And he came from a big family of 13.
My goodness.
Yes. However, my grandfather, just like in many Mexican households, was working on this side to provide for my grandmother and my uncles and my dad on the other side. And so, although my parents were very young when they had me, there was this understanding of the importance of family. And I knew from a very young age that I was privileged because I had two parents that loved me and were with me daily. And my mom said, because of that, you will be the one that can actually go get that full education, because both my parents were not able to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first memory being my mom talking about the importance of getting ready to take a really important test. And I remember my mom telling me, you take that test so you can show everybody how smart you are. And I remember being so excited, and we didn't have a car, right? So we walked to the school and we took this test. And when I look back and I reflect back, that test was a kindergarten placement test. And I remember it was connecting the dots and then telling what the picture was. And the picture ended up being a house. And I remember seeing my mom's face when we were walking back home, or her just being so happy that I was able to show others how smart I was, because she knew that I was smart. And that was the beginning of what I knew I needed to do, which was go to school, whatever it took. And my mom reinforced it often. I had to continue to clean bathrooms, take care of other people's children, whatever it is. You are going to go to school, and that's your number one job.
So fast forward to where we are today. You start a company that is a tech company that is all about placement for students who are interested in the community college to the four-year college career, so to speak, your academic career. And it allows them the opportunity to simply identify what courses they need, what they need to do, and it's dynamic. So should they change, which many of us did when we were in college, my degree is going to be this, and the next 6 months, I don't like that. That was a little too hard, or whatever it is, we make changes. Tell us a little bit about Inspirame.
Great. Inspirame. Absolutely. Yes. Inspirame, for those that don't speak Spanish, is a simple translated word into inspire me. And the essence behind Inspirame is basically my own lived experience, my husband and my life partner's lived experience, and our personal belief that every person just needs a little bit of inspiration in order to really find their path. And so we started Inspirame out of our own, like I mentioned, lived experience, but also our own, I would say, in my case, corporate experience, where when we started Inspirame, I had already spent 20 years in the corporate sector. And given where I told you I started to spending 20 years in the corporate industry, I could have never I didn't even know the world existed, much less even think what could come from that. And the time that I spent in the corporate world was about creating products. So I was already in the business of creating products, but products for big tech companies. And I also saw my husband day in and day out provide so much to support to so many students, because fortunately he ended up becoming a community college counselor. And so seeing the everyday task of him helping so many students, and at the end of the semester, him coming home with notes and letters and cards from so many students and parents till this day who say, you changed my life. You gave me guidance. You helped me see what I didn't see. That I told my husband, we have to do something so you can actually help more people, because in reality, who he was helping were the same students that him and I were not too long ago. And so in 2019 is when Inspirame was officially born from a tech perspective, meaning that we were doing Inspirame on paper and pen. But in 2019, it was like, maybe we can put some technology behind here, and we can create a platform that we make available for free for our community, because we know by doing that, we remove some barriers. And we started building. And what happened? The pandemic happened. The pandemic forced us both to be working in the same office at home and hearing the same questions and hearing the same responses and hearing the same uncertainty. I thought, okay, it just further cemented, this is why we need to put our focus on the community college. They are a gem in our community, and many in our community don't even know that they're there. They are open access, they're diverse in nature in regards to what they offer, and they're all across the state. And so for that reason, we built EdTechquity in order to ensure that we don't replace counselors, because counselors play a key role in the ecosystem of the educational journey. We just make it more readily available for all students, because I do want to put a finer point. When we say students are anyone from 13 all the way to 101, because I believe we can all be life learners, and that's the opportunity that we see that we can unlock with our EdTechquity platform.
And we've had several of the foundation leaders for the community college systems here to talk about that situation of what they provide. And to your point, the diversity of not only ethnicity and gender and age especially, because we tend to think of a student.
Yeah.
It's you're 18, 20, whatever it is. To your point, 30, 40, 50. And
Absolutely.
people rejoining their education that they had to stop for family.
I would like to say life happens.
Yes.
And it happens to all of us.
Yes. To your description of the EdTechquity, that is the product of Inspirame. And that is a tech product that's a tool for both counselors and students to use that will identify all the courses they need to get from point A to B,
Correct.
to C, all the way through their 4-year degree.
Correct.
Today, how is that happening? A student, I mean, there's thousands of students on the campus of a community college. They somehow get an appointment with a counselor, of which I'm sure there's a number, but it's a finite number. And I'm sure there's way more students than there are counselors to see. That's got to be a painfully slow process.
It's a very slow process. It's a slow process that I like to tell folks it really gets in the way of really ensuring that we can support our students. The reality is within our community college system on average, it's a 1,000 student to 1 college counselor. And the reality is students have lots of questions. And many times students don't even know what questions to ask. So when they have that question, it's not as easy as picking up the phone or going making an appointment to talk to someone tomorrow. It's on average a 30 to 60 to 90-day wait time to actually get an appointment. So by the time a student actually gets that appointment, well, the question has completely changed and it just can completely derail a student. And let's be honest, just the fact of being able to get an appointment already serves as a barrier because not everyone actually is already enrolled at a college campus. And this is especially true for many adults that at one point were a student and there's a lot of curiosity of like, what could this look like? Maybe taking another class to get that job or apply for this next job. And we lose out on that curiosity that can really enable the ability for us to increase the skills of what we know we need inside of our workforce.
Right.
And so that is what we're looking to do with EdTechquity is to complement what we can actually offer at these community colleges by reducing those barriers. And I like to tell folks, let's give the students the opportunity to harness all the energy they have and the excitement they have for going to school to actually learn, network, engage, and not have it be wasted on how do I get through? What question should I ask? Can I get this question answered? Because in many times, students are just looking for that reinforcement when they're talking to those counselors. And that's what we built with EdTechquity. Let's just help guide, enforce, and reinforce a lot of what we know they need to continue to move forward, especially for first-generation students like myself who just didn't know what we were doing.
Well, it's a roadmap. It literally is a roadmap through college at that point in time that they think they know what they're doing.
Correct.
But it's also dynamic enough that it shifts should they change.
Absolutely.
So if I'm interested in Sierra College and I want to go to Sac State, it will map for me the entire process.
Absolutely. Sierra student, and I'm interested in nursing, and I want to finish, at Sac State. You're going to get the classes you need to transfer to get into Sac State, and then you're going to get the classes you need at Sac State. And not only are you going to get that roadmap, or like to say blueprint, we also add to the blueprint because you're going to also get notifications that are going to be personal stories of people that you can relate to around their journey so that you don't think that it's going to be easy because a journey is not a straight line. I mean, it's
Right.
zigzag. Sometimes it goes backwards, right? And so we collect lots of stories of anyone that wants to share to really ensure they have an understanding that they're not alone on this journey. And we like to say it's so much easier to provide blueprints so people know, I got to prepare for this. My husband likes to tell this story all the time. If I tell someone, let's go for a hike, and you don't really give details on the hike, I may show up just with my basic tennis shoes and a sweatshirt. But if I'm telling you we're going to be doing like some dome hiking, there is a complete different tools that you need in order to prepare for that. And that's the reason why we've spent so much time on building EdTechquity is to just ensure that everybody has the tools that they need in order to get the skills that they need to get them into the workforce.
And the beauty of that hike, so to speak, is let's say you change forests or mountains and maybe I don't want to continue at Sierra. I want to go to Santa Barbara and I want to do something down there. You connect with the community college there and then you can identify which four-year school you want to go to. Maybe it's Cal Poly, and off you go. It's dynamic enough to absorb the information you've already got from the courses you've already taken.
Correct.
And morph them into what's appropriate for those particular campuses, correct?
Absolutely. Reapply it. So even if you're doing, let's say the student started at Sierra, then says, maybe it's not Sierra, maybe now it's Sac City College. And instead of going into nursing, now actually I'm interested in biology specifically. Well, that's going to change the entire blueprint, but they're going to know that blueprint's going to change in 12 seconds because it's going to be known in their platform because of that information is being given. And they're going to also see that all the classes they've taken, where does it count so that they're not losing track? I mean, I have big visions of being able to have billboards all across the state that says, got college credits and don't know what they're worth, let TechQuity Guide inform you. Because we all carry around currency that many don't know is actually valuable and useful, whether it be to be on that transfer path, or it may even be a certificate path, which are all offered at our beautiful community colleges, but many students don't know. Don't know at all. And where there's programs where there's weights or lottery systems, we like to tell our students, okay, you may be waiting for that lottery, but in the meantime, go take these other classes because if that lottery doesn't work out, guess what? There's so many other careers that exist in the healthcare industry. It's not only becoming a nurse and not only becoming a doctor, but there's a huge variation there. And that's the other piece that we spend a lot of time and we put a lot of care into is let's get students what they need just to create that basic survival, but then know that they can come back when they're ready to take that next class or take that next certificate to continue to build up that skill that may be needed for that next role or that next opportunity.
How does the student acquire the app? Is it free to the student?
It is completely free to the student. It's also complete to parents who are wanting to help better understand how to support their student. We're finding a lot of individuals that work in school settings are also on our platform, after school program, tutors, mentors, because again, we have so many folks that we know education is so important and we want to support so many of our students, but it gets complicated. And so another feature that's within TechQuity Guide is our TechQuity AI, where anyone can ask any question regarding the educational journey, and we provide you the response. So then you have kind of your own little cheat sheet that enables you to help support students. And so we get the word out by the obvious things on being on social media. We like to say we like to meet people where they are. We also participate in a lot of community events. So you can find us at cultural events. You can find us on radio show at times. You can find us in many unusual places because we usually are the only folks that are there from an educational perspective to really ensure that we can get the information out to the students. And clearly we're looking to find partnerships also with the community colleges and the universities and nonprofits because we really just want to spread the word to say that collectively we can really truly create a nice, strong ecosystem around education to ensure that more people are getting through versus not.
As we're learning and getting smarter from Maria Medrano in this episode, let's get some wise counsel from the people who make this program possible.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
I'm thrilled to have Western Health Advantage partnering with us as they do so much to support so many nonprofit agencies in our community. As a truly local health plan, you'll find individual and family options, employer options, plans for CalPERS and Medicare Advantage. From medical services to pharmacy, health and wellness support, as well as behavioral health care, Western Health Advantage has a plan that fits what you need. As an employer, for profit or nonprofit business, individual or family, you can find more at westernhealth.com. That parlays beautifully now to the next question. Somebody's paying for this in some way, shape, or form, and whether it be through sponsorship and or the community colleges have some skin in the game if they could take advantage of it. But that's where EdTechquity
Absolutely.
comes into play. And you recognize that, boy, we need to get this to the students. We need to get this in their hands. We need to continue to develop. I think you said you had 60 of the 115 community colleges.
Correct.
Okay. So how does that happen? And that's where EdTechquity was born as the nonprofit portion of it.
Correct.
Tell us about that.
EdTechquity was born out of that sole reason. Look at the name EdTechquity, it's what I like to say, it's education, technology, and equity. And that's what forms EdTechquity.
Mm-hmm.
And the name came from just my own source of understanding that education is what gave me the opportunity to sit at the table of these big technology companies, but what gave me the ability to accelerate what I've been able to do in building technology was that technology piece. And so EdTechquity was formed in order to ensure that we can provide the same amount of services to the schools and organizations that need it most and generally don't have the funding in order to ensure that they can partner with us in a way that is uniquely supporting their outcomes. And so EdTechquity is there to ensure that we always are able to maintain the DecoGuide app for free. That is the primary objective. The second piece is also we want to establish micro scholarships where we can actually have what I like to say an easy button within the DecoGuide app to ensure that students can tell us at any moment they have an inkling that they think they're going to drop out of school or stop going to school because life happens, whether it's a flat tire, whether it's paying a portion of rent, whether it's a lost textbook. I mean, things that are so small and the minuscule of things, but they're so big, especially when you're first in your family to go to school. And we want to ensure that we can provide the funding as soon as possible. Again, because the usual scholarships and things usually take a process. There's usually some qualifying piece. We want to ensure that we're removing those barriers so we can increase the outcomes.
You know, it's interesting you say that too, because we had that same conversation with both of the foundation leaders. It's just something that small, a flat tire or a small car repair, a battery, where they're out. That's it. They're so fragile on that balance of getting through school and the ability to support themselves that something that small could send them off to where they just have to go to work and they can't afford to finish school.
We had a student who we worked with over a couple of years, went through all the motions, community college, Sac City, transferred to Sac State, celebrating, getting ready to graduate, and could not graduate, or was on the verge of not graduating because they had two parking tickets that put a hold on their record that prevented them from actually being able to apply and say that I'm ready for graduation. And they were getting ready to, I mean, it's two parking tickets, but you can't.
Right.
And it's easier to just walk away than to really say, I have these parking tickets. And there is something very personal about the educational journey. It's something that I recognize because I lived it, and the families that we support live it every single day. That I think that's the beauty of what we built with both EdTechquity and Inspirame, that they trust us enough to be able to share vulnerable aspects of their journey for us to say, okay, we got to come together and we got to do something because we as a society miss out. We miss out in people's ability to contribute, their innovation, their thoughts, their experiences, because simply these small that we see are small things that get in the way of bigger opportunities for them.
As we go down the EdTechquity line, who is it that you see yourself collaborating with? You did mention something that got me excited because a lot of the conversations we have are with organizations that serve foster youth, organizations that serve underserved youth. Again, student opportunities that get stuck somewhere along the line. Who is it that you see yourself collaborating with?
I'm looking to collaborate with nonprofits. Nonprofits are pillars across so many communities. And many times, like I tell our nonprofit leaders, they are the experts in serving their communities. And there is not a single community leader that I have not met that does not acknowledge that education is that catalyst for them. But they're just not sure. They don't know about the education piece. And so I like to say, let's come together as a community of nonprofits, continue to do what you do, but let's partner. And you can include us in any type of projects you're doing as that educational component that's actually anchored on technology. The beautiful thing about that is we get to personalize it. We get to ensure we can scale and grow. And on the back end, we can actually see the impact that we're having. So when we're having a collective conversation on the value proposition of nonprofits, it's backed by data. It's backed by actual experiences, and it's backed by actual blueprints that we can continue to provide to our community.
You know, with the demonstration of activity, because anytime a student touches the app, you know.
All we know. We know what gets them excited. We know the modality of information that is relevant to them. Is it a piece of content that is in video form? Is it audio form? Is it written form? How many times does a student truly change their mind? Mm-hmm. What classes actually resonate for them? I like to tell community colleges, we can give you actual data to show you, 2 semesters from now, we have over 5,000 students in our area that are looking to take Statistics 1. Let's make sure we're offering it during these times of the day because that's when students are available. And then we get away from having to cancel classes, having to rearrange classes, because right now we're sticking to the old usual ways of what we've done. The same classes offered at the same time with the same professors at the same moment, and we're not really appreciating the moment that we have students that are working full-time, and most of our students are part-time students. And so that is truly the value proposition that we look to bring to truly ensure that we can meet all students that we have today.
And to your point, you may see a tech and or maybe a low-tech welding, something that somebody's really interested. We know that there's a shortage of welders, and all of a sudden, wow, what if the demand on that particular course or course curriculum from A to B, whatever it covers, is overwhelming? Maybe there's an opportunity to expand that and diminish some of the other ones that have very little demand.
Exactly. There's another story I can tell on that piece of it. A student that came to us, and they came to us because they were really looking to continue to go to school, but they couldn't get back in. It just kept not getting questions answered. And we asked the question, are you actually taking the right classes? Because the classes he was taking, it was very clear he was not doing well in the classes. He goes, well, I don't really like these classes, but I have to do these classes. I was told that I have to do them. We asked a couple of more questions, and he actually loves to work with his hands. And we introduced the welding classes. And within 3 semesters, he had his welding certificate. And he started working at Siemens, helping to contribute to build the bridge. A year and a half later, he actually owns his own welding company now.
Wow.
And before, it had no clue that welding was a piece. And that's why I say both the traditional, longer, skilled going into the university and the skilled base around plumbing and electrical and HVAC are equally important in our society. And many in our community are just simply not aware.
And the beauty of that is our community colleges do service that.
They service all of it.
Right, and are looking to do more because we know the demand is there. Not everybody's meant for a 4-year college degree.
Exactly.
And those are elements that are within the platform.
All within the platform.
To where you would start from whatever the basic course is, Welding 101, and you would then see your journey to getting your certificate.
Absolutely.
Amazing. How about funding for the organization? How are you funded?
So we are funded on the Inspirame side. We're funded, self-funded. Again, I'm blessed in the fact that I was able to work in the tech industry and self-funding there, and we have our investors. So it's a fully fledged organization of investors that help continue to ensure that we are building and innovating on the product. On the EdTechquity side, obviously it's donations from local organizations, donations from folks that have seen the impact of what we've done in the community. Obviously, we look to go after grants as well and be written into grants and just look to take a balanced approach there. We are blessed in that we have an opportunity to contribute to so many families that families will also provide us some donations. And I am a firm believer of the collective good, and that is what enables us to do that. My vision is to ensure that we have stronger funding so we can do more faster. I feel like there's a sense of urgency around where we are now in regards to the lack of skills in our community and the desire for folks to gain skills, but just being confused about what paths to take. And so that is the biggest opportunity that we see today.
And the EdTechquity side of it, the nonprofit side of it, again, because the platform is free to the students, it's really meant to be a support mechanism to allow you to do some more things to support the students, which may become as those micro scholarships, but also to possibly support the community college system as well, yes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is more to be said around the engagement piece, about being able to provide them insights that without our platform they would not be aware of, right? There's so much around how do we really ensure that we're engaging our students in a way where students feel that they have a stake in it. And so when we think about it from an EdTechquity perspective, I'm going so far as to say that I would love to create this movement about the value that community colleges have, because not many folks will take a responsibility and say, I started at a community college.
Right.
And I say that because I've been in the corporate sector for so long that unless I talk to them about what we're doing with the community colleges, no one will ever admittedly say, I started at a community college and then transferred to university. They like to talk about their university experience. And I'm like, no. We have to get comfortable about talking about the value proposition of community colleges, because without that, it goes down to what impact it has even with our students that are in high school, who are always ready and willing to apply for the university, but no one's really talking about the excitement of what awaits them at the community college. And so I really do see an opportunity to have a joint value proposition with our California community college system and what we're doing at EdTechquity, because we are in it to ensure that we can create more visibility on their value proposition that awaits them.
While we're on the topic of funding, you have an event coming up. This is going to be a first-time event for the organization that is Young Lady Latina +1
Yes.
empowerment event. Explain the +1, first of all.
Yes. So I shared the story about my mom and the role that she's played in my life, about being the person that wanted me to go to school. The other side of it is that she had no clue what it weighted me as it related to go to school. She kept supporting, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. But she was not someone that I could go to and ask for help with my homework at times. Definitely could not ask her, what class do you think I should take this semester, Mom? Because she had never stepped foot inside of a college system. And so I unfortunately lost my mom 3 years ago very unexpectedly. And the EdTechquity piece is in honor of my mom and the champion that she was to get me to where I am now. And the Young Women Conference +1 is in honor of her. In that I have been fortunate enough to travel the world because of the companies that I work for, and have gone to hundreds, if not thousands, of conferences that really provide community and provide more learning. And I thought, I want to bring that piece, that experience to Sacramento, not only for the young ladies, but their +1. Because every time I went to any conference, I always was, how can I bring my mom with me? How can I bring her into this conversation? And more so just so she could experience this, so she can see, wow, this is what this is, because without that, she would have never seen it. So the +1 for this conference will be, let's teach our young ladies what they need to be preparing for. And at the same time, let's take the young moms or whoever that +1 is, maybe a sister, maybe an aunt, maybe your dad, whoever that +1 is, so we can teach them how they can better, support their person, questions, food, because there's a lot of, I would say in my mom's case, she wasn't sure what to do. And there's like, I just don't know. Or my mom would tell me often, I'm not smart enough. I don't know. I'm like, I don't need you to be smart. You're smart enough. I just need you to, make me a plate of hot food, because this dorm food is just, it's just support me. So that's the essence of this conference. It's bring an actual unique experience for our young ladies and make them aware that bringing that +1 person is A-okay. Because I can tell you, being the first in my family, being the first in the corporate sector, I always felt like, oh gosh, I'm going to bring my mom. They're not going to understand it. It was a huge differentiation for me, for her. There was so much learning. And I think that's going to be our opportunity. And that's the whole purpose behind the +1.
And as your first event, you see this being as an annual event, I would assume, yes?
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
and when is it?
We're looking for it to be in the September timeframe in regards to students coming back to school, getting really excited about what to do with the year ahead. We're looking for partners, obviously looking for a venue in the Sacramento area and looking for partners to bring this together for Sacramento area. So really open on that piece of it, but we would really love to do something more towards the end of the year to get them excited for the new school year.
Okay, and you prefaced this next question a little bit in the opening conversation or start of the conversation. But if money were no object for EdTechquity, what would it look like? DecoGuide would be known as that one platform that anyone at any moment could go in and just explore what was possible for them. And also be the platform that they can actually make decisions, life decisions that could help them in being able to gain the skills that they need to be able to move forward, to contribute in the society in a way that's very, very meaningful. We see DecoGuide even pre-LinkedIn, for those that are on LinkedIn, around our communities and really building that piece of it around getting them the skills they need and then being able to make that jump between the education sector into the workforce, because that himself is a big, big piece. So for me, I envision DecoGuide being able to map every connection from an education perspective across the state to be able to ensure that anyone across the state can really explore, and not just explore, but also then get into the game and really participate.
do their part, gain the skills, get those degrees, and ensure that our workforce is alive and thriving. And obviously with that, taking this all across the nation. And I take it one step further. I see an opportunity even with our international students. Lots of international students that are excited to come to the United States, and we just do not have a holistic strategy to how we ensure that we cultivate the learning aspect and the educational aspect. And I want EdTechquity to be that platform of choice that provides that opportunity.
60 community colleges today, 115. So you'll have that complete by the end of the year?
That is the goal. By the end of the year, get all 115 community colleges. In parallel, we're already in conversations with a couple of our CSUs, so getting those CSUs and our UCs there. That is the goal. This is the year to get everyone tightly connected so that we can, like I said, flip the switch and just ensure and see all of the great activity that's happening, because there is immense need. We are on our social media platforms now, and millions of comments. We have over 30,000 users on those platforms. And the questions that we get there in the comments are, I wish I had this when I was in school. Mm-hmm. I'm going to save this for my kids. My daughter's only 5, but this is so important. Or no one's ever told me this. Why don't we know? Why don't we talk more about this? And so it's just opening up those lines of communications, because people are eager to get those skills. They just don't know how. And that's what we want to provide.
And this isn't only for underserved students at all. This is anybody.
Anyone. I can't tell you countless students that are actually at the university that are using our platform that are realizing, I thought this university was for me, but I'm not really jiving here. And so it's like, okay, great. Then you want to go back home? Yeah, then the community college is a great option. Let's finish here and then let's figure out where you want to go. So it's not for the underserved student or for the low income student.
Any student.
Yeah. Because all students need support.
What today is the greatest need that you've got to make EdTechquity agnostic? It's used everywhere. You go to the community college, that college is supporting students through it. Because I would imagine today, as the counselor, it's got to be burdensome to figure out what classes I'm sure there's some technology, but for the most part, by each individual student, it's manual. And if they're starting to shift around on what it was, then it's restructuring every single time.
It is. And the minute that student walks out of that office, if that student does not follow that plan by the T, it's void. It's invalid. And so what we need are partnerships. We need all of our community colleges and our CSUs and our UCs to just reach out and say, let's partner. It's in service. I like to tell them, think of us as a new way of marketing to students and servicing your current students. And that's the real opportunity that we have today. It's really, let's get out of our own way. Let's acknowledge that we have an opportunity to improve our transfer outcomes. Our transfer outcomes are not the best when we look at it across the community college system. The state auditor released a report that after 4 years, anyone that starts, only 21% complete. And if you are Black or brown, the number drops to 15%. We have to do a better job of improving our transfer process, because that impacts our universities. And that's why we see the low enrollments in the universities, and that has a direct impact into our workforce. And so we really have to do a better job of supporting our students in a holistic way.
So I kind of sidetracked that with that comment. What is the greatest need for EdTechquity?
The greatest need is the funding in order to ensure that we can continue to build out the app so that it's completely available to all students, regardless of what schools they're going to, regardless into what they want to actually focus on, because there's such a disconnect when we talk to even our high school students about the only thing that students really know is, I can only go to a university. And we know that that's not a reality for all of us. There's not enough seats. There's just not enough seats. And so the funding and the capital, the donations into EdTechquity enable us to build the app to ensure that we can get it into the hands of all of our students.
And to continue to keep it free.
Absolutely.
Which is, it has to be free.
It has to be free. We cannot charge students. That's just another barrier.
What's the best way? I'm a student, and maybe I do know, maybe I don't know. Somebody says something about this thing that I can go to. I can get an app on my phone and it will help me. How do I go there? Where's the best place to go?
The best place to go is if you do follow us if they're on social media, they're going to find us on TikTok. And we know a lot of our students are on TikTok. So we are constantly creating very intrusive, direct, quick, pieces of guidance. And every piece of guidance is followed. You want to learn more? Download our app. and come on for free. So we make that very, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
So we're meeting them there, but we also, as I mentioned, we're in the community. And so we are definitely sharing across the community. And I think that's a big ask as well, is spreading the word and just making sure that if you are working with students, if you are working in the classrooms, if you are working with adults that are curious, just say, hey, have you heard about what Inspirame is doing, what EdTechquity is doing? Download TechGuide. And you can download it directly from the app, the Play Store, and you can meet us there. And the minute that you download the app, we've made it so simple that you answer a few simple questions and you're quickly on the app. And once you're on there, we take care of ensuring that we're dropping those welcome notes to make sure that we can guide people through the app.
Okay. So once they start, then you engage them.
We engage them.
Actively, very aggressively, I would imagine.
We say very intrusively.
Yes.
Because
you need to.
Because you need to, because a lot of things that we say that we find with educators, and they say, well, we'll ask the student what they need. I'm like, students don't know
what they need.
They don't know what they need. So we're very, very intrusive in that. But we're intrusive in a way where we, like I said, very personalized. So we know if they are a foster youth, we're getting them the information that's relevant to them. If they're first generation, if they're a dreamer, if they're a parent, all of these pieces matter. So we're making sure that they're hearing and they're getting what they need, but that we're constantly being intrusive, which is why the way TechGuide is built is standalone. What that means is that we do not require any integration across any system because we don't want to put this work on the schools or the colleges. They have a lot to do. Leave it to us. That's the biggest thing that we bring. We own the application because we want to be intrusive. We want to be engaging. We want to make sure that as we see things dropping, that we can offer them resources. We'll ask them a question, how are those classes going? And if they're saying not well, let's introduce you to what a tutoring service is. And let me show you where this tutoring service is on that campus. And we can just be that additional guidance that's there in their pocket.
This episode could be shared with students. Certainly will get shared in the academic circles. And certainly from my perspective, I'm going to share it with certain nonprofits to say, hey, is there an opportunity here? What would you say to the audience?
There is such a huge opportunity for us to be able to create a brighter future that really includes all of us. And I like to tell students especially, like the future is brighter with you in it, and it can only have you in there if you actually have the skills necessary in order to contribute in meaningful ways. And for all of what students of today are participating in, I remind them, you're on the consumer side. Let's get you more on the creator side. And that's the big opportunity that I see when I think about what really awaits us all to ensure that we actually have a very vibrant and also a very diverse workforce and future that enables everyone to participate. So when I think about my own experience, there's no way I could have ever imagined the little 5-year-old me or even the little 18-year-old me or even the 25-year-old me to be sitting here talking about what we've built for the world at large. But it was my own curiosity. And my fear is that we've lost a lot of that curiosity. We've gotten so complacent with just what is and that this is what we've always done that we need students to really think bigger. And I want them to know they're not alone, that we are here to support them. And that's the whole purpose behind TechGuide for them. That's
awesome. And I will put the social handles in the show notes so anybody can just go and either link through it or grab it. And I'm smiling because you are absolutely the first guest that I've had that didn't say, well, go to the website and, here's the URL and that's how it works. It's much more contemporary. It's a younger audience and you're appealing to a different person than maybe a traditional nonprofit. So you have two sides. Your service side is to the student and to the community colleges and our four-year campuses as well. But you have that other side that is the nonprofit side that's still looking for funding that's more likely than not going to come through a visit to the website in an outreach because that's a different group of people. And that's edtechquity.net.
Yes, it is.
Right.
edtechquity.net.
And to be clear, that's EDTECH and then a QUITY.net, not org or com, but .net.
Yes. Thank you. It is.
Yeah.
And there, obviously, people can go to the website. But like I say, if you can tell, I'm about meeting people where they are. But the website does have a Donate Me button, and it's there for anyone that has the ability to provide donations through that. But more importantly, my biggest ask is let's get the word out about the importance of this and let's get folks on the app. And I believe by doing so, the rest will come in ensuring that our collective community will do all that we can to ensure that that app maintains free, to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to participate.
Well, and the more demand on the app, the more likely you can demonstrate the value. And I think you said, 30,000?
Yes.
That's an amazing number in a relatively short period of time for something that is not fully engaged in the system yet.
Exactly.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What you're doing in helping students continue through their system or continue through their process in the system, which can be very confusing at times and very difficult. And we know we have a graduation rate issue. Mm-hmm. We have a transfer rate issue. Mm-hmm. Anything we can do that helps the student just builds the community to a greater level.
Absolutely.
And the more people that transfer to the four-year university, the more likely they are to graduate. The more people that are in the four-year university knowing how to get through the system, the more likely they'll graduate. And what I love about it is making it simpler. Mm-hmm. And eventually it should allow the counselors to do even more because they're using technology to minimize the time.
Oh, I like to tell folks, again, my partner in this work is a counselor himself. We are in the business of, ensuring that we don't even have roles, as we say, right? That we really ensure we simplify it as best as possible, that we take care of the tactical aspect of what all students go for. What classes do I need? How long is it going to take me? And how do I pay for it? Let us take care of that through the technology, and let's make sure the counselors are available for the social, emotional aspect of what's needed, even more in today's time. That would unlock so much more value because that is what's missing in regards to ensuring students feel confident and feel ready to actually be in the classes and be ready to learn. And then the other piece is providing that exposure so that students know the vastness of what awaits them at the community college because people just don't know. That's what really is the exciting part about what we're doing.
Well, I can't wait to talk to you in 2 years, Maria, and see where it's all at and at least give everybody an update. And I'm sure we'll be hearing about it as time goes and we have other guests who are saying, well, you had somebody and there was this thing that they're using and it's great for the students. And that would make me the happiest I could possibly be for you in terms of what you're doing for the students.
Thank you so much. I really look forward to being back and sharing because I do believe that nothing happens by accident. So anyone that's interested in connecting, please do feel free to connect us. This is the opportunity to be doing good together, and that's what I look forward to.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If what you heard moved you, please reach out to that organization and do what you can to help. If you like and appreciate what we're doing to support local nonprofits, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share. If you're a nonprofit with an interest in participating in an episode, you can reach me at jeff@hearmenowstudio.com. If you have a need for the services or products our sponsors offer, please reach out to them. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. Runyon Saltzman Incorporated, RSE, marketing, advertising, and public relations, creating integrated communications committed to improving lives. And Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. The Nonprofit Podcast Network is a production of, is recorded at, and edited by Hear Me Now Studio.